Mm. Can you hear me, Martin? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just testing some stuff out with this program. I haven't used it in a while, so I just learned how to add that subscriber count in the bottom left corner there today, and it's live too. So if somebody subscribes to me while I'm on here, that subscriber count will go up or down. Can you see the text I just threw above it? Could you see all the editing I was doing while I was doing it? Or did it just show up when I was done? All right. I think I figured it out. So your tank's doing well? That's good. SPS for low in the tank? Yeah, I have lots of chalice. I got the you can see it here in the tank, a massive avatar does well low. And then in behind that there's a big kind of ravine between this rock pile. Can you see my pointer, by the way? I don't know if you can or not. I might be pointing at stuff and you can't even see it. No, you can't see it. Okay, so yeah, I'm pointing at stuff for no reason. Yeah, chalices, it doesn't matter which one, they'll all do fine on the bottom. But for SPS, any of your Monties or Digis, like I have the grafted Digis, Forest Fire Digis, they'll do well low. Also the Anacroporas, that's the ones that don't, the Anacroporas are the ones that won't encrust. So I have Goldenrod, I have Tropicana, and I have um, TNT. I no longer have the Green Goblin, but they all do well in actually really low par. I think I keep mine at around 150 par, and they have awesome color. You remember seeing what? The chalices or the anacroporas? Yeah, so the large one that's kind of more in the front of my tank is the Jason Fox Avatar. And then kind of in the ravine between the rock pile that's to the far right in the center one, there's like a valley in between there. And back in that valley is my Raja Rampage. I also have the NFC, which in other words, Niagara Fire Corals Tropic Fusion, that's kind of right in the front on the bottom as well. That's that orange and blue marble one. I'm just playing around with this OBS Studio. Uh, some chalices you can get away with them touching, and they won't kill each other. Um, None of mine touch, so I really couldn't tell you if they'll kill each other or not. Um, I would always play it safe and just keep them away from each other, and then you don't have to worry about it. I know the Raja and the Jason Fox Avatar both have fairly long streamers that come out of them, or feeding tentacles, which would they'll sting with. The Tropic Fusion, they're not overly bad. My Rainbow Dynamite, same thing. They have them, but they're not as bad. Um, my I also have the Jason Fox Goldmeister, which does not send out streamers or stringers or stingers or whatever you want to call them. And I also have the I'm drawing a blank right now. I have the Cloudberry Chalice. Again, doesn't send out uh, streamers or stringers or tentacles or stingers or so there is some chalices that don't send them out, and then there's others that do. The ones that tend to have the eyes, you'll see the round circles in the chalices. Those are the ones that are going to send out the stinging tentacles. Uh, the ones that don't have the eyes in them, they won't. So that's what you look for if you're buying chalices and you want to know if they're going to sting nearby corals. Oh, now you can see the frag tank too. Yeah, it's hard to work with this program if you're not live because you can't really see what it is actually going to do. So that's why I went live this morning. I just wanted to work with this program and try some new things. Have you been here yet in person and seen the new frag system? The new things that are going on here? Okay. I wasn't sure if you've been here since I added the new frag system. Artistic spaz. Uh Patience, my friend. How long has your tank been set up? Because you will struggle with everything when the system's first set up. Give me some feedback on your system and I'll see if I can help you out. What's your tank size? What are your parameters at as we speak? What kind of corals you got in there? How long's it been set up? See if I can help you out. Yeah, it's coming along, Martin. The cloudy water is kind of clearing up finally. I had some bacteria blooms that was happening early on the first couple of weeks there, but it seems to be clearing up now. Corals are reacting good. I think I've got my lighting on that tank fine tuned. I had the par meter out again yesterday, and the maximum par that tank hits is about 150, and it ranges between 50 and 150 from the very outside edges or the corners, and as you move in. So I've got a good range there for because that tank is solely LPS corals. I'm not I have the other one in the back room that you know about because you've been here in the sump room, and that one's going to be for all my acroporas. So the tank you see, that frag tank in here by the 270, that is going to be solely LPS coral. Struggling for 2.5 years. Yeah, so you should be. I was thinking at first when you said that maybe you had some new tank syndrome going on, but 2.5 years, no, you should be past that. What are your parameters at? Do you do you test weekly? Make sure everything's in check? And what kind of corals are you trying to keep? Like I was just struggling a bit with that frag system you see on the left side of my screen there in the background. It's but it's only about a month or so old, but my water was very cloudy for a couple of weeks and I had the diatom bloom and but everything's checking out on that tank now. It's starting to do well, so I thought maybe that's what you were referring to, but if it's 2.5 years old, no, something else is going on. Most importantly is I'd like to know what kind of lighting you're using. Okay, you have a refugium, shadow, and a skimmer. Run UV. How often do you do water changes? And are you using an RODI system for your source water that you're making your water change water with? The gentleman that's also in this chat with us, Martin, he's been going through the same thing that you're talking about right now for a couple of years himself, so I've been helping him. Do you know what your parameters are at? CalMag and alkalinity? Two AI primes. AI primes are good lights, so I don't suspect it's the lights as a problem because I currently use AI prime myself not on either one of these tanks, but I have a nano right next to me here. See if I can show you. Right there, I have a nano, and as you can see, it's an AI prime on it. So what exactly is happening to your corals when they die? Do you know how intense your lighting is? Because if they're easy to keep corals, I'm guessing a lot of them are softies. Are you are you hitting them with too much light? Is the light intensity too high? Thank you. Yeah, they were a lot of work, but I love this hobby. And are you a subscriber to my channel, or did you just happen to come across this live stream? Huh. That's crazy. Killed a skeleton in 2 days. So what last time you tested your water, I'm not sure if you answered me on that. What were your parameters at? Your alkalinity, your calcium, and your magnesium. Those are your main three. You keep those three stable, and you should be golden. You do weekly or every 2 weeks water changes, and you keep those three elements stable, your tank will thrive. I think my mic is up too high. Am I very loud? Okay, so your lighting, you don't know for sure what you don't know for sure what your par is at, eh? Okay. Are you on your phone because you're at school? Neglecting the children instead of teaching, you're listening to me? So you met me at the Niagara Coral Expo. That's cool. You going to Kitchener? Have you checked out my new website where you can actually buy corals from me now online? 420, 1407. Your mag and calcium's good. Your alkalinity I would bring up a little bit. All right, Martin. Thanks for stopping in and helping me with trying to work out this OBS system. Your alkalinity, I would try and bring that up. Your KH to 8. 7 is a little low. You swing or go a little lower than that, you're getting into dangerous waters there. That's why 8 is so a universal number for most people, because you can afford to swing down or swing up a little bit without causing any catastrophic disasters. Your calcium and magnesium they're good. Yeah, the website just launched like this week. It's brand new. Uh, I had to, um, get things moving along. I have a lot of coral here, and I wanted to offer it up to anybody in Canada. So, yeah, always start low. And when you're dosing, with dosing, you should be testing every day or every 2 days until you find, start low. If your tank's holding at say 7 where you are, start low and just go, up it a little bit each day until you see 7 start climbing. And as soon as you see it start to climb, stop and then see where it stops and then add a little bit more and then let it climb again and see where it stops, and do that until you reach 8 and then stop right there. And then only adjust as your corals grow. Your alkalinity will start to drop again, and then just make small adjustments from there to keep yourself up where you want to be. Like that big 150-gallon frag tank you see in the back left corner of my screen there, I'm only dosing 20 mils of alkalinity and calcium to that tank a day because I'm doing the same thing. I don't know how much that tank's going to want, so as I go, I'm just going to slowly increase it till I find where that tank stabilizes at, and then I'll start increasing it slowly from there to get it to the number I want it at, and then I'll keep it there. So when I water test, I do a couple different things. So my main system, which is the big 270 you see here behind me, it's attached to a 125-gallon sump and an 80-gallon frag tank. So that's a large system, like 350-gallon-ish, somewhere in there. That system there, I test my alkalinity with the Celifert test kit. But I only do that now and again just to make sure that my Triton is measuring accurately. So I use a Triton for my alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium on this big system back here, and I use Celifert just to make sure that the Triton is reading accurately, and I'll test with those every 2 weeks to a month just to make sure that, or if the Triton gives me a funny number. I also test on this big 270 tank here, the large system. I test my nitrates and my phosphates with HANA checkers. This system that you see behind me, like I said, it's like 350-ish gallons. I run alkalinity is between 8 and 8.5. My magnesium's 1350 to 1400. My calcium's usually around 450. And my nitrates are both 5 to 7 parts per million. And my phosphates are I always keep them between 0.03 and 0.08, sometimes as high as 0.1. Yeah, testing monthly is like if you're testing with manual test kits at the very minimum, I'd be testing every weekend. Like at least that's what I used to do because I was off on weekends. Um, yeah, test. You got to test more often than monthly because a lot can happen in a month, especially in a smaller system. I could get away with testing less often because this tank is so big that it takes a lot more for swings to happen. But yeah, I would recommend at least testing um, weekly. Right now, while you're having issues, you should even test maybe twice a week, middle of the week, and then on the weekend, just see if you can narrow down what's going on. So if your nitrates are really high, then that's your problem. How high are your nitrates, and what's your phosphate at? Yeah, API is no. they they're not very. I would get yourself some Salifert test kits and go with them. And like I said, that other gentleman that was on here, Martin, that was talking, that left just recently, his major problem that he suffered with for the last year or so was also nitrates. He had super high nitrates, and it was doing the same thing. It was killing every coral he put in his tank. Yeah, that's don't go chasing numbers. You when you're okay, where you're at right now, it seems like you haven't been testing very often, and like I said, you're not using the best of test kits right now. So for now, I would get yourself some Celifert test kits or something that's a little more reliable to give you accurate readings. And then from there, off of those readings, get yourself to that kind of that stable point, what people consider to be the norm for reef tanks, which would be, like around that 8 DKH, and then, 400-ish to 450 calcium, and then 1300 to 1400 magnesium. Get yourself in those ranges, and absolutely get your nitrates down. You haven't told me what they're at, but you said they're extremely high. Get those nitrates down. You want them. You don't want them zero. Same with your phosphates. You don't want them zero, but you want the phosphates between 0.03 and 1 to be safe, and you want your nitrates between, say, 5 and 10 parts per million. And if you get everything back to that point and you can keep it there, your tank will start to thrive. I promise you. I would also check your lights. If you don't have access to a par meter, start them low. The best way for me to put this is you almost can't kill a coral with too little of light. You can eventually, don't quote me on that, you can eventually kill them, but it takes a long time to kill them with low light. But you can kill them in one day with too much. So lower your lighting down, 25%, 50%. I don't know what you're at, but lower your lighting down, and then start there, and then slowly increase the lighting if you need to. So put your corals in. If they start to lose color, they start to shrink, they start to look not as happy, then you can start to increase your lighting from there. But too much lighting will absolutely fry corals quick too. Yeah, so nitrates at 30 isn't horrible. I know people that run their tanks at 30, but that's kind of one of those funny hit 22s. I feel if I ran my tank at 30, it would cause me a lot of issues. The rule of thumb is you want to be 5 to 10, and then you're safe. You're not going to have algae issues. You're not going to be, running into a bunch of different problems you can get from high nutrients. Do you know what your phosphates are at? Phosphates more often will kill your coral than nitrates will. You can turn your lights down in one go. I mean, the corals are going to react regardless. But I don't know what you have in your tank that you're worried about shocking. If they're just softies and stuff, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you had acroporas, I would say, yeah, do it slowly. But if they're just softies and that, yeah, you can turn them down. Shouldn't hurt them. Yeah, so your nitrates at 30 is a little high, but like I said, you can run a tank with them that high. If your phosphates are as high as you're stating, then I would say that is, definitely a problem. Phosphates phosphates can wipe corals out pretty quick. Once you establish your tank and you get good, kind of a good maintenance routine, and you kind of get a good feel for your tank, um, and it matures, these things will all settle in on their own, and the tank will let you know where it wants to be. Like this big system behind me here, I actually dose nitrates to the system because I can't keep them up. I have to dose nitrates to keep my nitrates on that tank between 5 and 10. And I feed the crap out of that tank. My fish are all super, super fat, and I still cannot get my nitrates up in that tank. So 0.08 PO4 that's good. Like I said, you want to be at 0.03 to zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.08, but if you get as high as zero point 0.1, you're still fine. So 0.08 you're good. I would say, like I stated earlier, check with your test kits. Get some better test kits. Test your alkalinity, magnesium, calcium. Get them where they need to be and keep them there. And maybe back your lighting off a bit. You could just be frying the corals. Now, I know you said your ICP test came back and there was a ton wrong in it. It depends what you're considering to be wrong. Even when I do ICP tests, there's a lot of stuff in there that says it's bad, but is it really? It's a lot of it is the trace elements that you can get trace elements and dose them, or you can just do more water changes and it'll bring them back into par. After 2 years, you should be settled. You're right. 100%. But if the tank has been struggling for those 2 years and you haven't found that happy spot, then the tank hasn't settled yet. And that's kind of, I think, where your problem is right now. Um, I found myself, maybe somebody out there will correct me, but I found myself API test kits to be very inaccurate. Um, I've used the Saliford test kits for years before I had a Triton, and they've been very good for me. I have tried some of the other brands out there. I'm not going to name them, but I have tried some of the other brands out there, and I didn't like them. And I always tend to go back to the Saliford test kits because they're accurate and they're easy to read, they're easy to do, and they're fairly inexpensive. I mean, an alkalinity test kit from Saliford is $20, and it gets you. If you do the full solution, you get 100 tests out of that kit, which is what I do, but you can half the solution and you can get 200 tests out of that kit. For $20, it's worth it. Well, the number one thing with softies and especially softies is they strip your water of iodine. So yes, the iodine in my water, I have almost no softies, and my water's stripped of iodine all the time. I dose iodine on a daily basis. I use the Lugo solution, the concentrate, and I put a couple of drops in every single day. Well, hopefully, if you get those couple of things going and lower your lights and get things stabilized, you'll be able to name your tank something other than the glass box of death. Time we got here. Yeah, I have the Hannah, but I have the Hannah high range. I just don't buying the low range. You got to do the conversion in that to find out exactly what the high range will show you anyways. So I just bought the high range. No problem, my friend. Make sure you let me know how you're making out with this tank. You can comment on any of my videos. Like I see every comment. My channel is still not. I'm not one of those people out there with so many subscribers and that I don't see every comment, because I do, and I try to reply to every comment. So let me know how you're making out with your tank. I'm going to be interested to see how your progress goes. But hopefully that helps you. And but yeah, I would absolutely start with those lights to tune them down a little bit. Dosing that iodine, make sure you be careful with that because it's easy to overdose it. And yeah, get your things in check with some good testers, and and keep it there and start testing, you know, on a regimen, you know, and hopefully your tank will start doing better. All right, I'm taking off myself now. I figured out with this streaming app what I wanted to figure out. So, but I will be doing more live streams in the future. So hopefully I'll see you on it. All right, take care.